Alrighty, here is another problem that we will do with operations on polynomials. This may be a little bit more complex, so if you want to, I encourage you to take your time, stop the video when you can, and just understand what I'm saying, okay? So it says the figure below shows a picture of a cylinder with a hole in the middle. Find the volume of the ring. So basically what they want us to do is just to find the volume of the middle part that is being used, which is just this part right here, okay? I'm sorry, of the metal part that is being used. It was just this ring, this right here. Okay. So it says that the outer cylinder has a radius of 7y and a height of 4y plus 2x. The hole has a radius of 2y and a height of 2x plus 3xy. Okay. So we're going to use those terms or those expressions to help us find the volume of the ring. Okay. So first of all, we got to understand, okay, what type of equation are we going to use or how are we going to solve this? All right. So first thing we need to know is that what kind of figure do we have? So we have a 3D figure, and this 3D figure is a cylinder, right? So since this is a cylinder, and we want to find the volume of the ring, okay. What we're really trying to do is find the volume of the ring that is of this metal part that is being used. Okay, so find the volume. So the volume of a cylinder is what we're going to need in order to solve this equation. Okay? And volume of a cylinder, the formula for that is going to be V equals pi times r squared times h. Okay, so pi r squared times h. Pi stands for the irrational number 3.14, so we'll leave that alone. Okay, r stands for the radius. Okay. And h stands for the height. So in our outer cylinder, on the outer part of it, okay, starting from here, going all the way around. So that has a radius and a height. And then we have the inner part too as well, okay, the hole. Okay. Can't see at the bottom, but that has a radius and a height too as well. Okay. And of course, what we want to find is just, I'm going to put in green right here. We just want to find what that is. Okay. So we're going to take the we're going to take the volume of the outer ring, and the hole is smaller than that one, so we're going to subtract it from the volume of the hole, and that is how we're going to get the volume of the ring itself. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to take the volume of the outer is going to stay in blue. Okay, so that one, like I said, we know the R, and we have H. Okay, so R in that case was 7y, so it has a height of 7y, and the height was 4y plus 2x. So this is going to be 7y, and this is going to be 4y plus 2xy. Okay. Now we have to find the volume of that. So let's just go ahead and find the volume of that one. Okay. So the volume of that one, again, the formula for volume is V equals pi r squared times h. Right. Again, don't worry about pi. We'll leave pi just as its own. Okay. So this is going to be V equals. You know what? I'm gonna put pi at the end of the equation. Okay. So this is going to be 7y squared, okay, because that's my radius, times the height, which is 4y plus 2xy. And then pi is going to be at the end because we're not really going to use that part. Okay. All right, so here we go. First thing we need to do, we understand that we have 7y squared times 4y plus 2y. Now, most students will make the mistake and they'll try to go ahead on and take the 7y and multiply it through the 4y and the 2xy. So they use the distributive property first, but you can't do that because you have a power property right here, okay? So we got to take care of that power property first. So that means we're going to square the 7 and square the y. So this is now going to become v equals 49, because 7 squared is 49, y squared, okay? And if you didn't understand the reason why that changes to that is because if I have 7y squared, what I'm really doing is I am taking 7y and multiplying it by itself, okay? 7y squared is the same thing as saying 7y times 7y, all right? Which in that case, v equals 49y squared. Okay. Right, that looks a little jumbled up, so I'm going to just go ahead and erase that part and go back to what I originally had. So it's going to be 49 y squared times 4y plus 2xy pi. Okay. So now what we got to do, now we can take this 49 here. We can take that and we can distribute that to the 4y and to the 2xy. Okay. So once we do that, okay, we're going to have, write it over here now, 49 times 4 is 196. So this is going to be 196. And then I have a y squared times a y, which is going to be y to the third power. Okay. That's a product property. Again, y squared times is y to the third power. Because it's a product property. So remember, when you have two variables that have different powers and you're multiplying them, then you just add the powers. So this is a power of 2 right here, and this one is a power of 1, which is right here. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's how we got the 3 right here. Okay. Now I'm going to take the 49y squared and multiply it to the 2xy. 49 times 2 is 98. It's going to be a positive. X, I don't have no x's over here in the 49y squared. Let's just write it again. And then y to the second power times y is going to be another y to the third. Okay. And all of this is still being multiplied to pi. So really what I have, I'm going to just take that pi and put it in here, is 196y to the third power pi plus 98x y to the third. Pi as well. Okay. And all of these, I just took that pi and just distributed to both of those terms. Okay. Again, pi is we don't really worry about that. We're just going to leave it as a symbol for now. Okay. So now I have my volume of the outer part of that cylinder. Okay. Now I want to find the volume of the inner part of the hole. Okay. So the volume of the hole, and if you want to pause it right now, rewind it back, go back and kind of view it again, and you can. I advise you to, so you can understand what I just did, and then therefore you understand the next part that I'm about to do. Okay. So the volume of this one, write this one in red. So we know that we have a radius and we have a height. Okay. The radius of the hole was 2y and the height was 2x plus 3xy. what's the radius again? The radius was 2y. Okay. Radius was 2y, and the height was 2x plus 3xy. Okay, cool. So, we're going to go ahead on and try to find the volume of this one. Again, the volume is the same thing. This is going to be pi r squared times h. And again, we can move the pi at the back and then just distribute it later on, okay? So this is going to be volume equals 2y squared times 2x plus 3xy. Okay. So first thing, like we did last time, we're going to square this expression to 2y. Okay. So we're going to square this expression first. So the 2 squared becomes a 4, and the y becomes a y squared. Okay. And then it's just still going to be multiplied by 2x plus 3xy. Okay. Now I'm going to write the rest of it over here at the top. So as I distribute, I got to distribute this 4y squared into the 2x and to the 3xy. So 4 times 2 is 8. Okay. And y squared times x is just xy squared. All right. Now 4 times 3 is 12. Okay. And this is going to be x, still going to be there. And then we got y squared times a y is going to be y to the third power. Okay. And all of this is still being multiplied by pi. So we're just going to distribute the pi through. So that just becomes 8xy squared pi plus 12xy to the third power pi. Okay. All right. You can pause it here if you want to. Rewind it back. Try to understand what was going on here. Okay. Because then we're about to go to the final part of the problem. Okay. So now we have the volume of the outside and the volume of the inside. Okay. So remember that we got to take the volume of the outside and subtract it by the whole in order to get the volume of the actual ring. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to take the volume of the outside part. The volume of the outside was 196, 196y to the third power pi. I'll write this in black now. So the volume of the ring, I'm going to say V of ring. Okay. It's going to equal 196 y to the third, right? Pi plus 98 xy to the third pi. So all of that minus the second part of the ring. Now, when I say minus, you got to minus the whole thing, okay? So I'm going to put parentheses around this whole thing. And the volume of that whole was 8xy squared pi plus 12xy cubed pi. Okay. So this may look a little busy, make it look a little confusing, but just try to understand it. Again, if you want to pause it right now to see what I wrote down, then you can, okay? So all I did is that this is the volume of the outer part And this is the volume of the inner part, okay? And all I'm doing is I'm just minusing both of those in order to get the volume of the ring, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna distribute this negative sign through this parentheses here, okay? And the reason why is because I have a parentheses. I want to make sure I drop all my parentheses, all right? So 196y cubed plus 98xy cubed, pi. And this would be minus 8xy squared pi. And that minus sign changes the signs of both of everything inside the parentheses, okay? And that'd be minus 12xy cubed pi. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to see, because I subtracted them, I want to know, is this my final answer, okay? And I know that by looking at each term and seeing, do I have any like terms, okay? Do I have any like terms? Well, my first term here, okay, I have 196 y to the third power pi. I look over here, I have a y to the third, but this is attached to the x, and I have a y to the third here, and this is attached to the x. So this is my only one with just a y to the third. So I'm going to write that in my final expression, okay? So 196 y to the third pi. Now, this one has an xy to the third. This one has an xy squared. This one has an xy to the third. So I'm going to combine these two when I combine like terms, because these are two like terms here. This is xy to the third. This is also xy to the third. When I combine them, I'm either doing addition or subtraction. In this case, the 98 is positive. This is negative, so I'm just going to subtract them. And since the 98 is the higher term, it's still going to be positive. So this is going to be plus. So just like basic subtraction, 98 minus 12 in this case. And that is going to be 86. So it's going to be 86 xy to the third pi. And then this is my last term right here, this 8xy squared pi. And that's just going to be minus 8xy squared. Pi. Okay. Now I just want to write it in standard form. Okay. This term here has a degree of 3. Okay, because its y is raised to the third power. This term here has a x to the 1 and a y to the third. So it has a degree of 4. And this one has a degree of x raised to the first, y to the second. So this is a degree of 3 as well. So this term is going to be the first term I'm going to write. Okay. So that is going to be 86xy to the third pi. Then the next one is going to be, now I have this one, this is a degree of 3, and this one's a degree of 3. But since this one only took one term to write as a degree of 3, or one variable to use as a degree of 3, I'm going to write that one next. Plus 196 y to the third. And then lastly, minus 8xy squared pi. Oh, I forgot my pi right there. Okay. And then that's it. That is your answer. Okay. Now, tomorrow, what you're going to have on the quiz is you're going to have something similar to this, but it's not going to be volume. It's not going to be this complex either. But what I'm trying to show you is that it'll be similar to the other video on YouTube that I have for you about the rectangular garden and what happens when you want to take one part of the garden and the other part of the garden, you want to subtract them, okay? So this is the major key right here you want to pay attention to, is that when you subtract, you want to make sure you change the terms, both of these terms, to negative, okay? So it'll be similar to the other problem that I have but I wanted to show you this one to get you kind of prepared to what is all involved. Okay. So that is it. That is all. Hope you guys have a good night and study, and good luck to you tomorrow.